Good morning, everybody. This is Becky here at Aunt Beck's Creations. And if you hear something running, I'm watering my tomato plants and pepper plants. So that's the water you hear running in the background, if you hear it. Callie's on patrol. Good morning, Vicki. So you guys are off to my right. My camera straightens forward and center. So occasionally I have to look over to see what you guys are saying. Last Wednesday I canceled my midday live because I got busy working on some things and I didn't want to stop. So, hi Janet. I found a pattern on the internet a while ago, before Joann's closed, and I'm making some knitting bags. Well, this pattern I think was free at soverycrafty.com. I can't find it anymore at all. So I can't share a link to the pattern. But if you look up free sewing patterns for a knitting bag, I'm sure you'll come up with something similar. But I wanted to show you the ones I got done. I have 3 left to do. And what's slowing me down is I'm hand sewing the linings in, because you make an outer and an inner, and then you fold the seam allowances in on both the outer and inner of these curved sections. And then you turn the outside right side out and you slide the lining in, and then you have to pin, or I'm using my little plastic clips and clip these around. And if you decide to make one of these, I know that you can do the sewing machine. I just wanted to do hand sewing. This one I got a little dodgy with, but it still looks okay. It functions. So it doesn't have any pockets on the inside. It's really roomy. See, fully lined. And it's supposed to have a pocket on both sides, but I had attached these labels that say handmade with love. So I only put one pocket on this, and it's got a square pocket here for your scissors or whatever, or a little container of stitch markers would fit in there. And then it's got 4 slots for either knitting needles or crochet hooks. So I've made 2 in this red floral, but this one's lined in black and white check. This one's lined in red. And they're all exactly the same, except for, colors. Then Joann's, before they closed, they had some cute sheep fabric, and these sheep are wearing boots and socks. So I thought, how fitting for a knitting bag. So this one has the sheep wearing the boots and the socks, and it's lined with floral, black and white floral. And again, it has the pocket. And then this one is the same outer fabric, but it's got the black and white check on the inside, because I didn't have enough of any one fabric to do all the linings the same in this particular fabric. And then this one, it's got what looks like faux knitting on the inside. I thought that was cute, and it looks good with that. And then this one's the same. It has that. So I did have enough to make 2 linings with this yellow. Then the last one I have, and I'm going to keep one of these for myself, probably this one, because it's got a flaw in the print. But again, this one's sheep actually knitting, and I wish I'd bought the entire bolt of this, and I had bought the same amount in this fabric here to make linings. So the pink bags all have the same lining. And I took one of them over to my mother-in-law's yesterday, and I got one side sewn up. So this side is sewed, and then this is how I put the clips on. And then I have 2 more in the pink combination to sew. And I do all that by hand. And I was going to tell you, if you find this pattern or one similar and you're clipping or pinning the lining in, I have some suggestions. Go ahead and match up the seam. There's a seam here at the top. Match up the seam for the lining and the outer fabric. Put your clip there. Then come down and match up the seams on the side and put your clip there. Then start at the top. And you want to do this at the same time. So I'm going to have a clip here and there would be a clip here to hold the lining and get it centered. Then what I did is I worked my way down the curves on both sides, and I would put a clip here and then one here and then one at the back and one here. And I just worked my way down the sides, going from one side to the other side. And then when I got close down here, then I could work this last bit of the curve in a lot easier. Because if you try to do the whole put a clip here, and then halfway, it doesn't work. It takes a whole lot longer than doing the method that I've come up with, because I pinned these or clipped these last three really fast by doing that, where I start on one and go to the other and just work your way down both sides of the curves on both sides of the bag. That's just a little clip, little tip. So again, it's got, all of them have a handmade with love label, because I bought like 100 of them off Amazon or something. And I have them in different colorways, but I thought the black and white looked good. And they all have that pocket on the back of them. What's good about these bags, let me put that one back over there, is you can, if you're waiting in line somewhere, you put this on your arm and just keep going. Does that make sense? So, and this is a fairly big bag. I've seen other knitting bags like this, but they were smaller for like sock projects and stuff. But I just love this size because it gives you room to actually carry, like if you were traveling and you wanted to keep your knitting with you, you could put several, skeins of yarn in here for small projects and work on them and still have room to shove the project back in. So I wanted to share those. So I've been busy with those, and those are for something special. We're just going to hope they don't fall over. So good morning to Janet Nash. Good morning to Janet Baum and Vicki. I'm going to bring you down to my table, and I have taken up my drop paper, so bear with me. Oh, and I picked Cole up, and he got upset with me, and he stuck a claw right there in my neck. I was so mad with that cat. Such an aggravation. Hi, Safia. So let's pull out the flower project. I got it in its box here. I have been working on this off camera. And I'm probably going to have to come up some just so you guys can see the whole thing. And again, I'm sorry for the running water sound, but my tomatoes are looking poorly. And it's supposed to be in the mid to high 90s again today. And I just rolled my floss up in here. During craft and chat, this is the floss I've been using. It's some Anchor that I picked up somewhere. And I've been doing this in craft and chat on Thursdays and Fridays. Again, if you want to be in one of those, you just need to let me or Ann know, and we'll get you added to the chat. We don't just add people. You have to ask us, to stick you in there. So I did stitch on Ann's flower. My grass was all stitched down. Then I went in and I did a dry run of where I want all the flowers, and I took a picture of it. So I've already sewed down Kathy's and Ann's flower, and I've done the stems, and I do the stems first. And you have to really think about it because I've got them pinned down here. And if they cross, you have to do the one that's underneath first. And so I just lifted the top of this one off and pinned it over here, did the stitching on here, and then laid this one down and did the stitching. Now, what I did is I cut the stems. They're just rough cut. They're not, folded under or anything. So this is not a piece that I would plan on washing a lot, um, because the edges will fray on some of this stuff. So I have done the stitching, and I just decided to pick a decorative stitch like blanket stitch. And I did blanket stitch, light color floss down this side, and then I blanket stitched with a darker on the underside. And so the actual tail of the blanket stitch goes in between the original one. So let's see. I did the light color that you see there, and then I did the dark color. See how I did that? And then on this one, I did fly stitches, and then I wove the light color back and forth down, and then I went back up through. You got to really think about that to do that, because you have to go in the opposite direction on the return trip. I'm not worried how this looks down here, because I'm thinking of adding some other things along at the front once all the stems and the flowers are stitched down. A note on the flowers. Let's see, Kathy's, and I'm keeping their names by their flowers by just pinning a little piece of paper with their name on it, because I want to do something where I can see their names. I don't know if I'm going to embroider Kathy W somewhere on here, or if I'm going to just create a plate and put it on the back. Let's see. Bernadette's getting into the water now. She doesn't like it. She'll back up. She's actually looking for me. Sorry, I'm distracted. So, Howard, don't you knock that lamp over acting crazy. Kathy's flower had a blanket stitch around the outer edge. So I just tried to find in my collection of thread a yellow that was similar, but then I only went up through the back fabric and caught her blanket stitch to hold her flower on. So the back on Kathy's looks like this. And that holds her flower on there real tight. Now, Anne's had a little running stitch around the edge, and I kind of wanted to highlight her stitches, so I found a pink, and then I actually did a blanket stitch, and I tried to keep it, to one side of her stitching. So it almost looks like Anne did that on purpose. And that holds that flower down, and it looks like this on the back. So that is what I'm doing. Now the stems, I'm just attaching with whatever decorative stitch I feel like stitching. Like this tail right here, it really needs to go up under this other. So what I need to do, unpin that, stick that back under there. There we go. Now that tail won't work its way out. So I'll go ahead and stitch this one down here, and then I'll stitch this one down. And I haven't picked a stitch for those. So if you have a book on stitches, I would just recommend going through that book and pick something. So like that one was a blanket stitch. This was a fly stitch with it woven in and out on Kathy's here on the stem. I did a chain stitch, and then I did that in and out with the lighter, but it just kind of went under my chain stitches. I think I pulled it too tight. And when you do that in and out, you're just going under the stitches that are there. So I did Carol's trick and turned it so you're putting the eye of the needle, so you're not catching it with the point of the needle. So I'll just put Kathy's label back on here. I don't know if that made sense at all, but that's what I've been doing. And I haven't attached any of the little bought flowers. You know, these little ones that come on the stem at the dollar store. I'm still thinking on those. But I think some little ones down in the grass would be pretty along in here. And I'd also like to embroider or create a mushroom. Janet Nash has made some mushrooms like out of the fabric. So I might do that and just put some mushrooms down along the bottom. I thought about trying to embroider like little pebbles or stones along the bottom. We talked in Craft and Chat about adding like a bumblebee or a butterfly embroidered on the background. Again, this was a piece of wool that I found when we were on our 40th anniversary trip at a uh, like thrift store. I think it was like a church or refuge type thrift store. I can't remember the name of it, but we stopped at it on the back roads on our way up to Tennessee. So, La, how's your back? I felt for you yesterday when you said your back was hurting. I know that pain. It's awful. So, in my picture, Beth's flower is supposed to come here, but I can't attach Beth's flower until I do this stem back here. And so I'm just going to show you the arrangement, and I'm glad I took a picture. I have one flower I'm still expecting in the mail. So I'm going to put a stem in here for it, and we'll see if it'll fit. Let me I just want to lay these on here so that I can show you guys. All right. So then I've got one of Joyce's goes up at the top here. And then, oh, this is Pam's. And Pam's was on this stem here. Now, Pam's, I'll probably come up and just try to catch some of the back ones and leave the top most piece on there. And let's see, I've got Kathy's. Oh. And this stem I was leaving open for Goldie's here. And then Janet's goes here. And then I was going to put Joyce's other one here. And then mine would go in here. Like so. So that's my garden so far. And then I'm planning on to put some of these down here in the bottom. And I might add a bead or sequin or something in the flowers centers. And I had bought some bigger flowers, but I think they're too big because I think they detract from the handmade flowers. So I'll set them down here and see what you guys think. See, I think they're just going to detract from it. What do you guys think? Should I use these bigger flowers or no? I'm wondering if I could do like this. Howard's a madman. I might have to press these to get them to lay flat. I don't know. I don't know if I like them not or not. And then I also have the leaves that came on the artificial flowers, which you can pull these apart. They just pull apart. And then see, I have these leaves that I could use. See, I could put those down and use them as some of the leaves, or I could cut them and sew them in. I almost feel like they should be stitched underneath the stems. or they could be blades of grass at the bottom, and I could fold them. There we go. Something like this. And just stitch them down and let them be up off the background. And when I folded this in half, I gave the leaves a little twist so that the little fake lines that are in here will look right. So you don't see, like if I just folded this in half, you can see you'd get a different color and the grass wouldn't flip out. So that could go down at the bottom as well. I'm going to snip this. I'm just trying things. Morning, Ann. Messy Table is Vicky, Ann. See, if I fold this under here, then I can sew it next to, well, let me see. I could sew this next to my stitched on, I don't have any pins over here, my stitched on stem like that, and it would look like the leaf is on that stem. So that's just another thing you can do, play with the leaves off the purchase plant. Put one there, see, and it would add leaves. So I might use those. And then, of course, the purple flower, let me rip it apart here. Let me throw the label away. And it's got some different leaves. Just pull it apart. And I could cut those, and those could be done the same way. Just fold under at it, so it's at an angle at the bottom. Fold this over. And then by doing that, you can put it up next to your stem and stitch it down, and it makes it look like it's coming off the stem. You see what I mean? And plus you're dealing with that cut edge. So I might use these leaves for the leaves on the plant. And I think I have some more in my tub of leaves. See, that looks cute with Kathy's flower there. Even this would be cute with Kathy's flower. More water sounds. Greg's taking a shower. So yeah, don't be afraid to use the purchased leaves or cut leaves out of fabric. So that's just some more ideas there. I don't know if should we stitch down a stem? We can stitch down a stem. I'll put these back in their box so I don't lose them. I'm trying to keep this project organized so that, oh, I can't pick that one up. I've already sewn it down. Ha ha ha. So we need some green floss. Oh, and on Kathy's flower, I used 2 strands of the yellow because I was only catching under Kathy's already done blanket stitch on the edge. And then on Ann's, to make this pink more pronounced, I used 3 strands. So depending on how many strands of floss you use, you'll get a different look. So there's 2 strands of that one and 2 strands of this one. So if you really wanted variation, you could pair your light and dark and go ahead and stitch, with them together. See, I could pair these up and use 4 strands if I wanted a real interesting color combo. Just put them together. And then as you stitch, you'll get a hint of the light green showing. That is all a personal preference. So let's see here. And I am putting knots in this because it's going to be a wall hanging, and there will be some batting or something behind this. Not sure I'll be able to use like interfacing behind it because of the dimensional flowers. But I need to press this before I get too crazy with the dimensions. But I got to get all these stems down. So I guess I should focus on the stems. If I remember right, one of these two stems is the one I was saving aside for Steph's flower. I think it was this one. I might hold stitching one of these two down until I get that last flower. But before I put any of the dimensional flowers on, I think I will press my cloth from the back. So I'll put the work face down and I'll press from this side to get this big wrinkle out of here. I should have already done that, but yeah, you know. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to get in any closer. And I have found with my background cloth, my knots, if I try to go just through the background cloth without going through a bit of fabric at the front, the knot just pulls straight through. This is a lot more open weave than it looks. So what stitch shall we do? Maybe I'll just do a feather stitch down this one. Should have brought Hedgie over. So I'll just go to the other side of it and then come up in the middle somewhere of the fabric. And I'll put this around there. Okay. And I'm going to come to this side. Go down a bit. Then I'll come to this side and just go down. It's hard to figure out which way to do here. Come to this other side. And my needle's coming up out of the center of the stem, the piece of fabric. Uh-oh. And see how I'm catching it in there? Off to the balcony to rest and crochet. Okay. Thanks for stopping in. Marian has just inspired me so much with her beautiful coat. Oh, you guys, Marian put a video up yesterday and she wants everybody to vote on what project she does next. And she showed the different projects. So if you get a chance, go over and watch that video from yesterday and give her a vote on what she should do next. I think so far the sweater is winning the game. She's doing like I did at the beginning of the year and trying to finish up projects she started a while ago. And I tell you, if you guys have unfinished projects, do a challenge like that for yourself. It's Marian's World. Spelled just like that, Marions, and then WORLD. I was listening to one of my UK sewing friends that I watch, and she was saying, I kept thinking she was saying a cold set. A cold set. And I'm like, what is a cold set? There's a challenge to make a cold set. But that's not what she was saying. She was saying coordinate set. And I was like, all I'm hearing is cold set. And she laughed when I told her. I said, I'm sorry, I kept hearing cold set. And she said, well, I sure could use a set that would keep me cold right now. Let me go grab my hedgehog so that I don't get these pins on the floor. That one little tomato is still looking so sickly. I think I'm going to just rip it out and throw it in the trash because I'm afraid it might be diseased. Which makes me sad because it was one of the kinds my grandmother used to grow. That's okay. They looked so poorly yesterday. I said, well, I'm going to give them a good drink in the morning. And I'm trying not to pull these real tight because I don't want them to bunch the fabric up, my background fabric up. So I'm just trying to just taut but not tight, just so it'll lay flat. Oh, and you guys, I was heating up a pizza last week. I think it was Thursday. And I went to turn the pizza stone in the oven at the halfway point because my oven gets real hot at the back. And I didn't, Teresa, I didn't put any sugar out there. Should I do that and see? I should do a video and ask, what is wrong with this plant? But anyway, I was turning that stone and the pot holder slipped and I laid my finger right along the oven rack. Can you see the little stripe right there? Well, apparently it went to a 4th degree burn right there. Oh, it's been so painful all weekend. And it's finally not hurting today. I've been putting triple antibiotic with pain reliever in it. Do you know how much sugar I should add? Just a little spoonful, or I was thinking I need to go and top them off with some cow manure, but I don't want to fertilize them so much that all they do is produce, green leaves. I want some tomatoes and peppers. I was going to get some black cow and just spread a little bit of it on the top of the soil. Because one person says you shouldn't fertilize them too much, and then another one will say, oh, they need to be fertilized every couple weeks. So a teaspoon. Okay. I'll do that. The black ant problem continues in my kitchen, no matter how fast I put food away and clean up. Oh no, I missed it. Let's get my loop of thread back up. There we go. Because this is all the same plant, I'm going to have to do this other stem the same way, but it's a miracle plant because it's going to have 2 different blooms on it. We might just stitch the stems down together here. You guys, I'm going to have to close the door, kitty cats. It's getting too hot in here. And I really don't want another yellow jacket in here. A yellow jacket that close to the house to come in means I probably have a nest somewhere in the yard. Cat coming through. Glad you didn't upend my coffee everywhere, Tippy. I deadheaded the black-eyed Susan that Greg's girlfriend Rachel gave me. And it's putting on another round of pretty blooms out there. I'm just going in next to the edge of the stem and then up out of the center of it, back and forth, to capture that piece of fabric down to the fabric. And I'm about to run out of thread. Carol's a pro at using down to the last little bit of thread. I'm going to take it to the back. And that's what it looks like on the back. It just looks like something's been hopping along here. And I could probably go a little bit, couple more stitches, but I just want to tie a knot. Let's see if I've got another piece here. Yep, thread chicken. Oh, good morning. Bernadette's looking like, I hope Mom brings me in today. I am. I'm going to bring her in more today. When Scott's here, he fusses about her pacing when she's in. So yesterday she stayed outside and it was really hot. He was trying to get the bathroom. There's a closet in that bathroom and there was a door. And, we've been painting all the doors white. They were stained and finished doors, and we've painted them all white. So he was working on that closet door and setting the latches and things back to where they should go. And because, he had to redo the frames on the door frame. And so he was in and out in the heat yesterday, and he was dragging this morning, like maybe he'd done, a little bit too much over the weekend. If I get out of shot, I'm sorry. Oh, so I guess you're not hanging that laundry outside today. I have a clothesline with no line on it right now. I'd like to move it. I need to get off my rear end and get out there and do some work in the yard in the early mornings. But Monday mornings I'm in here, and then Monday I also go through the house and make sure all the trash cans have been emptied for the week. All the little, I keep a trash can in it just about every room. So there's no excuse for anybody to drop labels or junk mail or any of that just laying around. It's dealt with into a receptacle that I can gather up, because tomorrow is our trash day. So I've already made it a bed because I changed the sheets over the weekend. And what else? Yeah, it's just a cleaning kind of day. And then later today we have stitch hour at 2. So if you'd like to come to that, you just need to let me know and I'll pop your name in the chat. And we were doing, when I started it, I intended it to be a knitting hour, but then not everybody wanted to knit. So I said, well, let's just call it stitch hour instead of knitting hour. And this is not the most perfect stitching, but it's holding the fabric down, and that's all that matters. See, I could look in one of my books. I think it's the one that's got the bird on the front, the mystical stitches. I think there's like a little worm in there. Yeah, a little trash can. Like I have a little trash can here by my desk, and Scott's got one by his chair, and we have one in our bedroom. And I just go, as I clean the room, I bring the trash can for that room out and dump it in the kitchen trash, and I just take the whole bag out to the trash can. I think this is a non-recycle pickup week. We have like a rolly can now for the recycling, but they only pick it up every other week, and they do not pick up glass. But if you have glass, you can take it to the dump yourself. And I was doing that for a while with the old recycling tub. I was just putting glass in it, but then it just was like, oh. And then up near my mother-in-law's house in the neighborhood, somebody hadn't cleaned a container, and a cat got its head stuck on it. And there was a big thing on the um, neighborhood board. We got to catch this cat. And everybody was trying to catch the cat and get the jar off its head because it was going to starve to death. And they finally caught him and got it off. So that's why you should always wash your stuff you put in recycling, because wild animals will put their heads in it to get whatever residue they can when they're hungry. So Scott is currently intrigued with Kansas. Not sure why. I think it's because he subscribes to this what is it called? Cheap old houses, I think. And I'm like, but I don't think there's anything in Kansas. Does anybody know anything about Kansas? Scott is intrigued. I have ordered one of their travel books. And isn't Kansas like right in the middle of Tornado Alley? It just doesn't warm my heart. I'd rather live where there's hurricanes. All right, so I'm going to knot this off. And I don't cut it tight to it. I leave a little tail. Nobody's going to see it on the back anyway. So that gets this stem all stitched down. So technically now I could go ahead and put Joyce's flower up here, because that's what goes right here. I'm trying to stay away from the edge some. Let's see. So, and she's done the blanket stitch around. So I might do a reverse blanket stitch with that same pink I put Anne's on. So I would come up and put the leg of it into Joyce's original, and then I'd have another line of pink running around the outside of this. So that's how that's going. So again, just when you're doing your stems, just pick a decorative stitch that you like and just kind of encase your fabric strips down with the different stitches. And then let's see here. This is Beth's flower. And I might get my felt needle out and turn this more into a tighter, like flip this up on it and felt that some. I could actually felt Beth's flower right to my fabric because it's wool, but I think I'm going to stitch it and maybe add some other things, but that's where Beth's would go. And that's why I had to do this stem, because this flower goes on top. So I just wanted to show that. That's how you have to think about it. You have to think about, I have to stitch the stuff that's closest to the fabric first, and then do the next layer, whatever goes over top of that, and then the next layer, which is the flowers. So that's why you always have to be thinking about, okay, what do I need to stitch on first, second, third? This I'm going to go ahead and stitch on down, but not right now. I'll do it off camera. But I wanted to show you guys how I was picking a stitch and putting it down. Cold in the winter, hot in the summer. The butthole of America. Well, the Columbia area of South Carolina is where the giant sat when he created the Appalachian Mountains. That's what a friend of mine says, because it's hot like AASS here. So anyway, I think that's all I've got for you guys this morning. I would love to set up a community tab like some folks have, but I don't know how to do that, and it's not something I've been off up. But if you want to send me a picture of your flower project, I can put it on my posts section, and we could share it that way so other people can see what you're doing, unless you're sharing it on your channel. Again, I'm planning, once I get all the work done on this, I'm going to put a thin, like maybe an inch and a half narrow border of just some cotton, and do a narrow border. And then I'm going to do a pieced border and then another solid narrow border. And then I'll put the backing on it and quilt it. And I probably will run the quilting stitches only in the green areas. Maybe swirls in the background. I don't know. I haven't really planned that far ahead. All right. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope everybody has a great day today. And I might sit here and stitch on this some more after I sign off, or I might get started with my trash pickup. All right. Y'all take care and have a wonderful day. Week, that is.